Welcome to Disturbed. We're talking Season 6, Episode 1 of American Horror Story, Chapter 1.
Yes, sir.
So, let's introduce ourselves. I'm Rob Southgate, and surprised to be back, because we had said we might not be, but we are! And who's with me?
Chris Mao.
Chris Mao, also back.
Also back.
Yes. Actually, you're the reason we are back, because I had put it out there, does anyone want to do this? I love the show.
Yeah,
but I didn't know if we wanted to continue, but this is awesome. I'm so glad you said you wanted to do this.
Yeah, me too. And you know what? I really like the show, and I really think there's a lot to it, so I think it's a good one for us to talk about. Not that we don't talk about everything else, but it's a good one for us to focus on. So
yeah. Well, okay. So last year when we were going through the show, we kept looking at the titles, trying to guess where the show was going, what the episodes were about. This year, they've stuck it to us. Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3.
They gave us no indication of what this was gonna be about, and they really, there was all sorts of stuff as we posted on the Facebook page about what was going to happen, and surprise, surprise, it's pretty much nothing like what anybody predicted.
Right. Well,
which is a shock for these guys. So
it's funny. For me, I was watching all these promos and trying to piece it together, and they'd even said, I think it was Ryan Murphy had talked about these promos and said there are red herrings in there, and then there are things that are definite clues.
Sure.
So far, where are the clues? I haven't gotten any. I can't figure out what's going on. I mean, obviously, we know what's going on in this episode, and we get the idea. It's called, they have that Myronoke nightmare. So we know that what the elements are, but when you look at those promos, there's alien stuff, there's spiders crawling out of a spine, there's a baby, there's a thing going down the train tracks. I mean, there's that monster one that looks like a creature from the Black Lagoon. I mean, what the hell? Yeah, no,
who knows what's going on? They're going to throw that all in there. I mean, even in the little blurbs that they did for the show, it had nothing to do really with the show. I mean, they made it all kind of like sound it was like it was going to tie together one way, and then of course it's something completely different. So
all right, let's cover a couple of things first. First of all, for those of you watching at home, this is our first time attempting this as a live YouTube show. It will be edited and made into a podcast just like normal. Last year, we did the entire show, I think every episode, from the Blue Box.
Correct.
And that was all done essentially live. We didn't have an audience except for people listening in. But this time we're going to try and do this because people like the video stuff. And Danette, I know you're here. I know you like it. So you're going to be here all night, Danette. We've got, at 9 o'clock, we've also got This Week in Geek. So
he's our stalker, but that's okay.
Danette would be a woman, but that's okay.
I'm sorry. Well,
that's all right, Chris. I think you're confused because Chris could go either way, too.
Yes. So can Rob.
Right. Oh, I would not want to see a female Rob. Oh, Roberta, maybe.
Roberta, see?
Yeah, see?
Well, we already talked about you as a female with the stubble. It was really attractive. So as we digress 2 minutes in, that's awesome.
Yeah. Right.
We're already on topic.
We didn't even make it past the title of the episode. Okay. Director. This time I want to bring this up each time. We didn't do this last year. Director is Bradley Bucher. I think that's how you say his name. 14 episodes he's done. So this is a guy who's been really important to the series. He's been really involved. When you think about 6 seasons, 12 episodes a season roughly?
Yes.
If you did 14 episodes on a show that rotates directors, that's a lot. The writers on this first episode, this is what's really important. It's the creators.
Yes.
It's Brad Falchuk and Ryan Murphy. I love that. It's like on Orange is the New Black. If you look at that show, the first episode of the season and key moments, it seems like Genji, I can't think of Genji Conan.
I can't either.
But Genji has her fingers right on it, and you know that she's typically the head writer on the first and sometimes the last episode, and then throughout here and there. I love that these guys set the tone, they set it up, and now the other writers have to look at it and say, okay, how do we fit this mold?
Right. How do we follow that is probably more like what they're saying. So
how do they follow that from that last one? Yes.
It's very much, I think, and I was looking at Bradley Bucher did a lot of did some Glees. He's done American Horror Story. So he's partnered with them a lot of times. And I think he understands their vision, or at least I would think that he does. Right. So I think they pick him to do that because he knows their style and what they're looking for.
He's a go-to director for them. That's for sure. And because they wrote it, they probably thought he's a perfect fit, which he was.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, spoiler, this was awesome. This was awesome.
Yeah. Oh, well, it pretty much, kind of like, what were we just watching? Oh, Stranger Things, where they pull in a lot of different genres and a lot of different movies and put it in there. I mean, I think I counted five classic horror movies or movies that we did so that were there.
That's something I wanted to do on this. I wanted to try to go through those just off memory because I only wrote a couple down.
Right.
But I kept like noticing things and thinking it and then not writing it down. So most obvious, most obvious. Take that back. There's two.
There's two very obvious ones.
Blair Witch.
Yes.
And it wasn't even really. I mean, there was Blair Witch because they had the stickmen.
Oh, the stickmen is totally Blair. I mean, come on. Yeah. And the whole the noises. Come on.
Yes.
The noises was totally Blair Witch.
The other one, Amityville Horror.
Oh totally. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
when they're sitting in that house, how much did you love that? When they're in the house and you see the windows behind and they look like the eyes, and they kept getting that shot, and I was like, it looks like an owl.
Well, let's talk about that later because I want to go over maybe we can do like a little, I hate to say spoiler section towards the end, but I think I made a decent observation already. So, some of those visual cues, but yeah, well, I mean, I watched.
That's not like us, Chris. Come on.
Yeah. Well, we spoil all the time and we conjecture and we even get it right sometimes, as we can say from Deutschland 83, which I thought we kind of nailed shockingly. Either it was that simply written, which I don't think it was, but we did that. But yeah, I think maybe we can talk about that later. But they pulled from a lot of different things. And then of course you see all of these actors who have either been in American Horror Story or have been in other kind of horror stories like you know what? Sorry, I got to pull up her name. I apologize. The screen died.
That's okay. I'm going to actually jump before you do that.
Go ahead.
To another reference, and Jeanette just reminded me of it. Big time. I mean, this is probably as big as the other two. The Shining. Holy cow! Come on. When she's walking through the house, you see the carpet. She's going down those hallways. I'm like, it's The Shining. And then she looks down, and there's the twins or whatever, the two girls. Amazing.
Oh yeah, the twins was The Shining was another good one. Although it didn't have that. It had some of that Alone kind of creepiness where he kind of went crazy, but I never thought she was going crazy. Even though they kind of hinted at it in the show that, people are like, oh, this girl's going nuts. Well, I didn't think so.
I didn't think so either. I think obviously from the ending, we know something else is going on.
Yes.
But they played that well because as the audience, it was almost like what do they call it? The unreliable narrator. Yes. We're watching them and we're going, okay, we're seeing what's playing out. We're seeing what the TV show of Roanoke Nightmare is showing us.
Right.
Because that's what we were seeing.
Yes.
But then when they get there and to like the hot tub, they said there are no tracks. There's nothing there. And I mean, I don't know about you, but my first inclination is, it's ghosts or it's whatever. But maybe not.
Right.
Maybe she is losing it at that point, or it's something else. I don't know. I don't think she's losing it.
Or the obvious is he's in on it. And,
you mean
the police officers, the police officer's in on it. And he's part officer. Maybe, I mean, and not to spoiler do whatever, but maybe the whole town is in on this little secret because,
Chris, you just, if that's what it is, you just got another one. It's the Wicker Man.
Yeah, it's Wicker Man or it's Hills Have Eyes. It's because I don't know what's going on. I mean, they all pull from each other, so it's hard for me to tell. I can't say I can go back there, but that's what I got the feel from.
I didn't get Hills Have Eyes from the Polks, but what I got was every 80s and 90s backwoods thing. It was remember that movie Wrong Turn?
Yes.
These guys look like the Wrong Turn. Almost. They weren't as deformed, but I was like, I'm getting that Wrong Turn vibe. I'm getting the Friday the 13th vibe when they come up and there's the guy at the gas station. I'm getting the Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibe off of those guys. And how great was the casting of Chaz Bono?
Yes. Oh,
they
fantastic.
better do something with Chaz Bono. If Chaz Bono is just to be, in the background and I'm going to be super disappointed. Like, because they could do that. They could do just like a cameo thing, like stunt casting. I want Chaz Bono to have a storyline with the father and with that brother. I mean, I want more out of that.
Well, hopefully it will be, but the way it looks like it's trending is that it's going to be a whole bunch of different like little vignettes, and maybe they just have a part in it. Maybe they're just like the crazy dudes that, it's part of their family or whatever. Who knows? I mean, I'm sure they will bring them back because it's very unlike them to not tie that up or tie up that loose end. But who knows? Because it seems like there's a ton of guests this season. There's going to be a ton of appearances. So it may just go BS crazy and just be this total, let's throw everything against the wall, kind of like Hotel did, although Hotel did a really good job at the end, I think, of
tying it all together.
And I think that was the best job that they've done to date in the series of tying all those loose ends in. So
I really think that's what we're getting here again. I think that this is completely different. This season is completely different than the others.
Sure.
And you can draw certain parallels to style on that throughout. This is the first one that is a complete break. Right. It looks like they're going to continue with this TV documentary style throughout the season, which when they do that casting where you have, you have Sarah Paulson
playing Lily Robb. Yeah.
Playing Shelby. And then you have, I can't think of the guy's name.
His name's Andre Holland.
Holland and Cuba Gooding Jr. playing Matt. Did you I actually did one of those oh yes when it was Cuba Gooding Jr. I thought that casting was great.
Well, you know what? These guys are really good, especially Ryan Murphy, of bringing in people that he works with on other projects into the fold. And so when Cuba did O.J. Simpson's story, because Ryan Murphy did that, and since we're doing this the day after the Emmys, I mean, they made a huge killing at the Emmys. That O.J. versus that was just. Everybody was winning awards from that. And, and then they put Cuba in this. It's like, oh my gosh. And he was great as OJ. He's great as this character. So,
he's a funny one. He's an actor that I really, really like. Mm-hmm. He won the Oscar for Jerry Maguire. The guy's an excellent actor. But after Jerry Maguire, it seems like a lot of his stuff was kind of that stunt casting where they put him in and they make him, because he's got this great personality.
Sure.
Casting him as Cuba Gooding Jr.
Right.
And I love that these guys are letting him act because he is a fine actor.
Yes.
And here I was really, both actors were excellent as Matt.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Jamie Foxx thing where Jamie Foxx, number one, he's great as Jamie Foxx, but he's an unbelievable actor too.
When he's Django, he's unbelievable.
Oh yeah. He's been great in I hate to say tons of things, but he's been really good. Did you know he was up for the part in Jerry Maguire, and he really screwed up the read, and so he didn't get it.
Really?
So he talked about it, and to take this aside, there was an interview on the Graham Norton show. It's on BBC America, where he did an interview, and he's like, "Yeah, I went in for the read with Tom Cruise, and I guess he was doing his part, and I guess Tom Cruise was doing the read with him, and didn't really, not that he wasn't into it, but kind of did it kind of mumbly and mealy mouth." And Jamie Foxx is like, dude, we're here. And I guess Tom Cruise kind of snapped at him. It's like, I know where we're at. And he didn't get the part because of it. So, obviously Jamie Foxx is a big star, and I don't think he's as big as Tom Cruise, but.
Yeah, but not at that time.
Oh, no, definitely not.
Think about it. At that time, what had he done? He'd probably done In Living Color. He probably had his TV show by that point.
Maybe. I don't know.
He may have done, what was that football one he did that was really good?
Any Given Sunday, and he was fantastic at that. He was
really great in that.
As Beeman Steeman Willie Beeman, I think was his name. That character's name.
Okay, you knew more than I did.
I did not. Yeah, I liked it. It was actually pretty good.
But what's really funny about that? Jamie Foxx actually hit my radar in a big way after that. Now, when he was the football player, I'm like, okay, that's like, yes, he was really good in it, but that's not one stretching to me.
No.
Did you see the movie Collateral?
Oh yeah.
He worked with Tom Cruise after this on Collateral, and Jamie Foxx was a monster in that thing.
Yeah, that's where he plays the cab driver, right? Where he's the cab driver and Tom comes in. Yeah. He tells a story about that too, funnily, that I guess they were doing a stunt and he was driving a car, and they were supposed to, the car was going to crash in the movie, but he actually crashed it by mistake. Like the brakes failed or something in the car.
Oh, geez.
And so they crashed, and he goes, I'm a star in Hollywood. I'm known. He goes, Tom Cruise is a real star. He goes, because they get into the accident. Everybody runs in and says, Tom, are you okay? And they actually push him out of the way.
There in the car.
Yeah, he's sitting in their car. He goes, I don't know if I have blood on me or what. He goes, they're all worried about Tom Cruise, and I'm just sitting here going, hey, what's up? So
it's hilarious.
It's kind of funny, but that's the way it works. So
yeah. Okay, back to the show.
Let's get back. Yes.
We're way off track again. So let's see. Who else did we see in this one? We didn't get Kathy Bates till the very end.
Very end, yeah. And so I love that word. They just show her holding a meat cleaver and walk.
Even better is when she's in the street. I didn't recognize her in that brief flash, but I was like, I couldn't tell if it was a man or woman.
Well, I thought it was you could tell it when she got up, from the ground.
Yes,
right.
And it was as she was getting up, that's when I went crazy. I'm like, it's Kathy Bates, Yeah. And but it was so quick that I thought, is that all they're going to do with her in this episode? Pretty much, except when she walked up at the end with the cleaver. It was awesome. And you've heard the controversy about it, or not controversy, but all the speculation. One of the people behind her, they say, was Lady Gaga.
Okay.
Because they have not revealed who Lady Gaga is in this, and she's definitely in it. Sure. And there's a still going around where there's one of those creeps standing behind her, kind of going, and it totally looks like her.
Oh, wow.
But she's got like blacked out eyes, and she looks all messed up. So who knows? She may have been in that first episode, and we didn't know it.
Sure. Could have been. They don't credit her, so
they don't credit her, which is interesting. They didn't credit her, but they did credit other people that weren't in the episode.
Well, no, she's a special guest star. And she was listed, Lady Gaga was listed as a guest star, but they didn't online or in their show notes credit her for this episode. Okay. So if you look at the stuff that they've released as Fox, they did not say that she was a specific character. They just say she's a guest star in the series. So.
Now, Danette wrote on here that she thought that Lady Gaga was the one at the hot tub drowning Sarah Paulson. We didn't get a good enough look. Did you get a look at the face or anything?
No, because it's all through the water.
I thought that was a man's hand. Oh, no, she says not Lady Gaga, but Kathy Bates.
Kathy Bates.
She's probably right.
It probably could have been. I mean, it looked kind of like the silhouette of her body shape.
And
but
it kind of had that blouse at the end of the sleeve. I thought it was a man, but I thought, why are they wearing like a blouse? And then at the end, when we saw it was this Roanoke group, I thought it was because that's what they wore, like pilgrim clothes or whatever it would be.
Right.
But Kathy Bates makes more sense because why was she there that she hit her with the car? Maybe she's the one baiting her out there.
Well, I mean, hold on, she gets hit by a car. She's dressed like she's from the whatever 15, 16, 17, 1800s, whatever that time period is. She's holding a meat cleaver in her hand and gets up from getting hit by a truck going 50 down the road.
Yeah,
something's up. So who knows?
Yeah.
Well, when that part of it happened, and she hit the car, and then she went out and looked for somebody. I thought maybe it was like a made up thing too. There's that moment of doubt because she, but Sarah Paulson's looking around, and I'm like, why don't you look behind you instead of off to the side? But
and I loved that moment too when she ends up in the woods there.
Yeah,
and she can't find her way out. That was another Blair Witch moment to me.
Yes,
because when they shot Blair Witch, they did that whole thing of we can't figure out where we are. We don't have the map. And I don't know if you know this, but when they shot that, they were literally like 100 yards from a road. Right. They were like right there. But that was reminding me of, I'm like, she's right there, but they're playing with that. Like, I can't find my way out.
Sure.
I think it's interesting though.
Hold on, but some of that was her recollection of it because it was her portrayal in the documentary.
Yeah.
And she may have just run in there, been freaking out and said, well, I don't know, it could have been just her memory of that event. Not actually, because she, 50 feet, come on.
You're hitting on something here. Wait, you're hitting on something here. This may be completely off base.
Right.
But there might be a clue in here. We'll see. So in the trailer stuff, in the preview stuff, they kept showing indications that it was going to be alien based. They showed abduction in that. And if you know anything about this abduction experience and the stories about it, a couple of things are brought up a lot. One is there's a whole thing about owls, about people seeing owls before and during abductions. They had the house. It looked like owls. They had that. They have also this idea of being confused where you are or remembering things falsely. So if maybe she's remembering, I got in there, I was confused because you just said that. Maybe she was abducted, and maybe the story that the alien gives her is this Roanoke group. Maybe by the end of the season, we'll find out that that's what's going on here. Do I think that's it? No, I kind of doubt it. But it is an interesting thing because there were references in this.
Yes. And also to kind of to tie along with the your abduction thing is like where you make that place that's scary familiar because she's walking along touching the walls and they like kind of painted the walls like you would in a new home,
right?
And they're talking about that kind of stuff. So and then maybe like the tie-in with the story of the Roanoke settlers is that the first group just disappeared
and it had that thing on the tree that said Roanoke or whatever.
Right. And then the second group just disappeared as well. So maybe they're going to tie that in with like that's
being abducted or
you want to take people from different parts in time. So
you want to hear a great story? So I was telling Martha about this, my wife, about this episode. Mm-hmm. She hasn't watched the series. She hasn't really been into it. She thinks she might try this one because it sounds cool. I mean, she just wasn't into the other ones. But I'm telling her about it, and I mentioned how they do this show called The Roanoke Nightmare. Molly, my 9-year-old daughter, starts telling us all about the Roanoke settlers and how they disappeared, and it was written on the tree because she has an audio book, which is a history thing called The History of the World, not Mel Brooks. And in that thing, they talk about the Roanoke settlers. And she knew all about it. She was like, that's a great story to use. I'm like, wow, 9 years old. She's hip to it. So, yeah, I think this is a great setting. And I love, or what I was going to say before, and I do love this, is that switchback between the live interview and this reenactment. I wonder if we go back and we watch it carefully, here's what my thought is. Do we see it as a reenactment the whole time?
Right.
Or, because if you watch it as a reenactment where it's Cuba Gooding Jr. and Lily Rabe, if you watch,
it's Sarah Paulson.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you watch that and you're thinking that is the reenactment, what if it's not?
Correct.
What if that's not the reenactment? What we're seeing is what's really happened. And when we see the other, it's what they do on the show where they set it up and then they show a reenactment with those actors.
Right. Ooh, that's good. That's a nice twist.
And what could happen is, because if that ups the stakes, if one of these two dies, they would have had to replace them, or if both of them disappear by the end, they would have had to replace them with actors. So maybe by the end, all of a sudden they disappear, and then we'll see the other two actors finish out the last couple scenes.
Nice. That's a good call. That's a really good call. I like that. That's an interesting theory. So I and I didn't even a little bit of the abduction thing because I saw that preview too. I just didn't know how it was going to fit into it, but now it's making a lot more sense. Like you were talking about the eyes and things. I'm going to bring up the thing with the eyes. If you watch the show again, every time something weird is going to happen, the eyes are facing down. So the round parts of the windows are facing down. Every time, or it's the other way around. And excuse me if I got it wrong. It's been, and I will say not been a while, but I just can't remember. Every time it seems like something positive is going to happen and there's nothing going on, I believe the eyes are facing up. So if you go back to the scene, like when they, the Angela Bassett and they're running down the stairs, you look at the eyes and you see that it's going, I think it's down is when bad stuff's going to happen when they do that pan. Maybe Danette can verify that for me. I don't know if she's available or not, but like you go back and watch the show, it's very, very weird. That they gave that cue like almost right away because I was watching it. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then there was a scene with the hot tub where it's round on both sides. So I guess I didn't know where that was going to play. But if you go back and watch, they kind of gave it away. It's kind of like the M. Night. We gave you the answer right in the first scene.
I think we're going to have to keep going back and carefully watching that. And for this idea that I just laid out there, maybe there are clues or maybe not. Maybe not. We'll find out. But I think that's cool.
Because when you look
Danette
at it,
did say she noticed that. And she also said she really hopes it's not time travel. Agreed. I mean, if she's walking in the woods and it's time travel, I think that is counterintuitive to what works for this show.
Yeah, or maybe they're sharing, that there's that bad juju because why does the ground breathe up and down? What's up with that?
Right.
I mean, so are they part of something else? Are they part of a bigger thing? Is it like they're
once
laying
again,
on
that could be alien. That could be, another indicator that things are not quite right. This is a setup. It could be that these are demons or something. Maybe they're playing with that.
Sure.
We don't know if they're going to try to tie into the previous seasons because Hotel did. And
Yes.
there were definite moments in this that reminded me of the first season for sure.
Yeah.
So
and Asylum as well. I mean, there was a lot of the room views
which had the alien stuff.
Yeah. So maybe, I don't know.
And we didn't see him. I'm drawing a blank. Our guy that's been
Dermot, whichever Mulrooney, whichever. That's
no. Well, he's not the one that's been in everything. It's Quicksilver. What's his name?
Oh, Evan Peters.
Evan Peters. We haven't seen him yet, and there's a lot of speculation that he's going to be Manson in this. How does Manson fit into this?
And he wasn't Manson in Hotel.
No.
So he was Holmes in Hotel. He wasn't Manson. So,
but that's what they're saying. Okay. More things. We didn't even talk about the amazing Angela Bassett showing up.
Oh yeah. Well,
the actress that was playing Lee.
Yeah.
Once again, I'm confused as to if she's the real one or if she's the flashback.
Well, she's in the Sarah Paulson, Cuba Gooding Jr. version.
Right.
So I'm going to call that the A-team because I think that's a better lineup of actors and that's nothing against Lily Robbie or Andre Thornton or what is it, Adina Porter, who plays in the reenactment plays Lee. And I don't know if you remember her. She was in the Newsroom. She was in True Blood.
Yes.
She was
and that's why, once again, she fits with that other actor. I have a feeling that they are the actors.
Actors. Yep.
I really do. And I think by the end of it, that's going to be a big twist to this thing.
I think that's a good call. So,
which is also like if you watch the footage that we're believing is the TV stuff, it doesn't look like a reality show.
No, it does. It doesn't have that fake, and it's not.
I can understand if the acting is elevated, but the look of it, like the angles in that, it's too. It's like like a movie or like it's not. You watch reality shows; they're like a 2 camera and then a handy cam shaking along. Right. It's not that at all.
No, exactly. And also, oops, sorry.
Yeah, go
ahead.
I
was going to say, like, when they do those reenactments, the people who do the reenacting are better looking versions of the real people. And I think when you look at it, I think Lily Robbie is a little bit more attractive than Sarah Paulson, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like, and Andre Thornton's a little bit better looking than Cuba, and Adina Porter's a little bit, maybe not better looking than Angela Bassett, but you know what I mean? It's like they're a little bit more together and a little bit better. Do you know what I mean? Like the reenactment, are always like a little bit a plus version of the people that they're portraying, and that's why I think
that's a little tough here, though.
But I mean, you look at them; they're nicely dressed. They're very very proper. It's very put together.
They're put together a little bit better. Yeah, I really think that might be it. But Angela Bassett, I was so happy to see her. I didn't realize she was going to be there. How I didn't realize it, I don't know.
Right?
But she was great. And I love that storyline too, how she, when they showed her backstory, I think if they had just told us like, oh, she's had some problems or she's got anger issues, but that backstory was really, really good.
I thought so too. And she was badass. Excuse me for saying it like that, but she was. Yeah, no kidding. She drew her gun on the guy and he killed himself. And he's talking about how he was a mass murderer or whatever. So maybe could it also be that this is made up in her head because she has drug problems and she has issues?
Oh, you think?
They do a lot of focusing on Sarah Paulson drinking.
Yeah,
there's a lot of that. I mean,
which is once again they're trying to make the argument that that's what's going on.
But could that be in her? Could that be in
Lee's head?
Because there's that part where Cuba's at the hotel in Roanoke or in Raleigh. He pours himself a drink and then sees the thing on the video camera.
The torches and all that. Yeah. So could it be, we'll call it drug induced, not just, I mean, alcohol being a drug as well. Okay. I got to talk about, of all this stuff. I mean, we had the Blair Witch figures, we had the ghost things, we had the Polks. The creepiest thing, the most unsettling thing in the episode.
Oh,
Pigman on the video. What was that?
Well, they show him, like, is it the first or second when they are getting the house?
Yeah,
they show allegedly Pigman's shoulder. I think that's kind of why I got the Hills Have Eyes kind of idea, because they show the guy with the mottled skin. So they just show the shoulder. So is that Pigman? Is that somebody else that's living in the backwoods, or what's going on with that?
What's going on there? The Pigman thing was fantastic. And once again, what was this? They hear the noises, they go to the basement. My notes here are, of course, the basement. And you're looking at it like, I don't want to go down there. It was reminding me of first season. It was reminding me of Conjuring.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm going, no. No.
Well, it's definitely first season because half of the show happens in the basement, doesn't it?
Right.
I mean,
right. So they go down there and there's this video on. And the doctor's on there saying, don't blink. No, there's a pig man on there.
There's a girl climbing out of a well, and it's really ugly after that. So,
and then what's his name shows up? You're so good with the names. I'm terrible with them.
Who?
It's Dennis O'Hare.
Dennis O'Hare, yes.
Yeah, but it's super close. It's hard to tell. But it's him, doing one of these. It was I like, to me, I did not want that segment to end. I was so creeped out by it. That was, to me, the creepiest thing in this. The rest of it, I was like along for the ride. I was like, this is cool. I got to that, and I'm like, no, I don't like the pig man. I don't want Dennis O'Hare not being the character we loved in the last season. This is not. It's unsettling.
Liz Taylor. He's not Liz Taylor at all. But I mean, is this kind of a nod to what is it? Signs by M. Night Shyamalan, where they have that creature and then like
the video and it walks by.
The video walks by, but then people don't believe it because even Cuba Gooding Jr. in this
I'm going to reenact it here.
Yeah,
I'm going to use my action figure. Oh, did you see that, Chris?
Exactly. Swing for the fences. But I mean, where people don't believe it because there's so much on YouTube that's made up. Cuba Gooding Jr.'s character is sitting there going, well, that's made up. There's no way that's real. And then, you're also looking at it going, what is this thing? Because it ties in with the horror aspect. So,
yeah, to me, that was, and Danette agrees, that was creepy.
Yes.
And I really loved, and once again, I think it makes an argument for this being a false memory or something. The stick figures, because it was so reminiscent of Blair Witch. Why, if you were trying to create this story in somebody's head to mask what's really going on, you might pull from things. To her, maybe that was a really scary thing. Maybe these ghost Roanoke things are a really scary thing that are deep-seated in her. So the aliens are using that to mask what is really going on. And what we're seeing on the show, on the TV show, My Roanoke Nightmare, what we're seeing there will not even touch on the alien thing because that won't make sense. It'll be a ghost story. When they disappear at the end, they'll say it's like the Roanoke, how they disappeared, but we'll know it was the aliens. If I just ruined the whole show, I'm along for the ride. I'm totally along for the ride. It's awesome.
Oh, yeah. Well, but there's also signs of what you're talking about in there because Angela Bassett's just sitting in a room, rolls a bottle of wine. And then
what was that?
But
did you think that was a ghost or something? Because that's what I was thinking.
Something's going on with that. But then also, Cuba Gooding Jr. is away on business, not there protecting his wife. He gets a flash on his phone that people with torches are coming to get his wife, and he's like, "Well, I'm 2 hours away. I get there in an hour." Yeah. How does that happen? And then Sarah Paulson, who's supposed to be relaxed and calm, everything happens to get her excited. So they're pushing the buttons. They're pushing the horror, the things that scare these people the most right there. So, maybe that is kind of like a nightmare. Maybe that is just being made up in their head. So I don't know.
I'm trying to log into my other computer so I can look stuff up. It's of course not happening quickly enough. Okay. Did we miss anything in this episode? Pigman, just no. Did we miss anything in this? Oh, we did.
What?
You mentioned the ground moving. We mentioned the torches. We didn't mention the scalped guy showing up at the last second.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Serious hell was that?
But think about this. If you're going back to the original Roanoke settlers.
Yeah.
The common theory is that they got wiped out by Indians. So what do Indians do? They scalp their victims. That's the classic explanation of how, Indian savages would do things to people. So, or is he being experimented on by aliens and they're taking off his head?
This is what we're seeing.
Yeah, that he kind of wakes them up while they're all in their dream, and he's like, "Hey, this is the reality. Is I'm getting experimented on. What's going on? Because are the aliens around with lights probing these people?"
Right. Well, I, for one, am really anxious to find out. I say we end it. We've got to get to another show. So
we do.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you, people watching us on YouTube.
Thanks. Who's that? Sally Noble and Danette.
That's Danette. Sally is.
That's Danette. Yeah. Sally's Danette. Okay.
So we're going to try and do this every week. I think this is a great way to do it. We are. So we'll be recording here. Those of you listening at home, if you check in at about 7:15 Central on Monday nights, we will be on YouTube Live. I'm going to try and figure out how we can put this out there so people know.
Right.
And then this will also then be edited down a little bit. We had some issues and made into the podcast. So those of you that can't watch it, you will be able to listen to it. And the video will go up on YouTube Live. I'm going to put the raw up now.
Nice.
But over the course of the next few weeks, I will be editing that down.
You can link that down to the Facebook page, right?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes. So a couple of quick bits of business. And Chris, you don't know this, but we're going to have our own little exit thing on this show going forward, which is really cool. But for now, I want to mention
Kathy Bates' picture from
yes.
What's that movie with? Which one is she naked in?
My Dreams. No. I want to say Henry or something.
Sorry,
I'm drawing a blank. Usually that's one that I can say, I can remember. I can't think what it is. But we have October 1st, a podcast marathon. Those of you that are near or in Elgin, Illinois, come see us. It's October 1st from 7:30 a.m. Central to 9:30 p.m. Central. 14 hours of live podcasting. We're going to do this show. Disturbed is going to be on there, as well as a lot of other stuff. And it's a chance to check out the Blue Box. Chris's restaurant is the bomb.
If you guys don't know, it's a Doctor Who themed cafe. We're the first and only, as far as I know, in the Midwest, Doctor Who themed cafe. And please come out and check it out. We're just not Doctor Who, though. We embrace all nerds.
And our podcasts are not going to be Doctor Who themed, although we will have at least one Doctor Who podcast that day that I'm aware of. So you'll get your fix of all things nerd and cool podcasting. There's lots of stuff. But concurrently, because it's our second year doing the podcast marathon, we're also doing a second marathon at the same time. So that is going to be right here on YouTube Live, 7:30 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. Central. 14 hours of different content. Different podcasts are going to be on there. At the end of the day, after everything's said and done, we're going to take all the videos, edit them down, so they'll all be available on YouTube. They'll also be available as podcasts, but that's going to take a while. That's 28 hours of material for me to edit down. It's going to be a while.
So it'll be 3 months. It's okay. We got it.
So yeah, check it out October 1st. Also, last thing, we have a Kickstarter. And if you go to Kickstarter, type in second annual SMG podcast marathon, or go to our Facebook page. There's a million links. Go to any of our Twitter accounts. There's a million links. I've bombed these. Click on it. Takes you right to Kickstarter. We are trying to raise money to improve the quality of the equipment. Today, maybe an hour before we got on here, we hit our goal. We're at 100%. Boom. So that means we get a mixer. We're going to have PR. We're going to have some posters and stuff. All awesome. We have stretch goals though. So the next $200, and that's not a lot. We're not doing this extravagant. $200, we get a lighting setup for the Blue Box that we can use to improve quality. And we can also use it right here so that we don't get this on me, because mine is the worst. After that, we're looking for GoPros. And these are just stretch goals. They keep going out, but we tried to keep it really tight. This is what they cost. Here's what the stretch goal is. So if you want to support us, you want to help us out with that stuff, go to Kickstarter, even $1. I mean, you listen to these for free for the price of a pumpkin spice latte. If everybody here did that, we'd hit every stretch goal plus some. If everybody did $1, we'd go way past that. I mean, the amount of listeners to this show alone should support it. And you know what? If you do support it, I'm going to ask a request. If you do support it from Disturbed, put a note on there. Put, Disturbed is the best, or a Disturbed fan. The other thing is, one of the reward levels for $25, you get to guest on Disturbed with us. We can either do it as a recap, or you can do it in the regular thing, or we can do it as a fan roundtable. So $25 gets you that. Kickstarter, second annual SMG podcast marathon. That's it. I'll do the rest of it in a post. So thanks a lot, Chris.
Hey, thanks, man.
Do we have an ending for this one? We checked out last time.
You just said we were going to have an ending. We're going to have one, but
we had time to check out, and then I'll have this nice little ending. But what should we do for this one?
I don't know. I haven't thought about it. I'm just glad we're doing it. So.
I'll look at what the end of the show is, the end of My Roanoke Nightmare, and we'll have that. So
it's pretty much a scream, and then you go to the, they show the graphic. So
all right, I got it then. No, yeah, you can scream, and then go ahead and scream. This will be it. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Cut.